and welcome to Clearview News Desk. We are reaching you live from Nigeria's capital city, Abuja. First, the headlines. Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria directs members to suspend all operations across the country. Political parties ask federal government and Central Bank of Nigeria not to extend deadline date for Naira note swap. Turkish president declares 7 days mourning as death toll surpasses 5,000 in Turkey-Syria earthquake. I am Gloria Atta with these and more. Welcome. The Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria has directed members to suspend all operations across the country. In a statement signed on Tuesday by Chairman of the association, Mohammed Kuluwu, the marketers were also ordered to suspend payment of ordering products from source until further notice. The association said the decision followed the critical situation as it affects our sourcing and selling of products at loss and the action of the authority to impose the selling of product at a loss price on our side. It will be recalled that the association had appealed to the federal government for more time to sell the premium motor spirits at the official price of 195 naira per litre. The ruling All Progressives Congress (APC) has reportedly suspended its presidential candidate Bola Tinubu's campaign rally in Oyo State indefinitely over fuel and naira note scarcity. APC had scheduled Tinubu's campaign rally for Tuesday in Ibadan, the state capital, but on Monday, the Oyo State Publicity Secretary of the party, Olawale Sadare, said that the decision to postpone the rally indefinitely was taken by the Governor Simon Lalong-led Presidential Campaign Council. The party said the current cash crunch and its effects on the populace, fuel scarcity and hike in the pump price of petrol compelled it to take the decision. According to him, a new date for the rally would be announced in due course, while assuring that the APC would host its presidential candidate Tinubu in no distant future, while he appealed for calm among its loyalists and assured that the party would be victorious at the forthcoming general elections. The Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) has assured Edo residents that the Apex Bank is doing everything possible to ensure a steady supply of naira in the state, even as it seeks to promote the use of alternative means to pay for services and conduct business transactions. Speaking on behalf of the Apex Bank, the Director of Risk Management, Blaise Ijebo, says the bank aims to drive a cash-light policy but assures that automated machines and banks are being supplied with cash. Governor Obaseki believes that the cashless policy should be encouraged due to its long-term benefits but wants the process to be made as seamless as possible.
We are here to make sure we do all that we can to make sure that there is supply of naira to everybody in Edo State. But we're also here to encourage people as much as possible to use alternative means to make their payments, because we really want to drive a cash-light environment in this country, because it's of benefit to all of us. So if you are able to use your card to pay, or able to use your bank app to pay, if you are able to use your USSID to pay, please use those. You can even go to your ATM that is not paying cash and do transfer from those ATMs. But if you must get cash, yes, we are aware that a number of ATMs are not paying. We are going to make sure that there is supply within the next day or two and they are all paying. But in the interim, you can go to your bank branches. We have made supply available through the branch, through your bank, to give you some cash for you to use. What we advise, just take the little that you need. We've asked them to pay up to a maximum of 20,000. But because of the crowd, some banks might not be able to pay you 20,000 at once. So if they can pay you 5,000, 10,000, use that to manage for the next day or two. We are going to make supply available. We are working around the clock to make sure that is happens.
So the Edo State government has no problem with the policy of the federal government to move our economy into a cashless one. However, we want to ensure that we do this as painlessly and as seamlessly as possible. We have to improve on the communication with our people so that we can reduce their fears. When people go to the bank to collect cash, it's because they want to spend the cash on some things. We want to help inform them that they don't need to go and collect cash to spend cash. They actually have other means today.
He says everything will be done to ease the tension and hardship associated with the transition process. Reactions have continued to trail controversies surrounding the new naira notes by the Central Bank of Nigeria as 10 out of the 18 registered political parties threaten to withdraw their participation if the federal government and CBN cancel or suspend the policies. This decision was made known at a joint world press conference by the Forum of Chairmen of Nigerian Political Parties and Forum of Candidates for the 2023 general elections. Clearview's Florence Joshua brings us the details.
With the new Naira note deadline fast approaching, there have been continuous calls from concerned Nigerians on the need for the federal government to stick to the deadline date. 18 political parties met to discuss way forward, and top of their agenda is to withdraw the participation in the forthcoming general elections if the federal government or Central Bank of Nigeria try to cancel or extend the deadline date.
After robust engagement among ourselves, we are nearing a consensus, and it is my pleasure to announce to you all that the political parties in Nigeria and candidates for election 2023 general elections support the Naira redesign and cash withdrawal policy of the Central Bank of Nigeria, except for one political party, which has not given cogent reason why it insists that the policy must be stopped. The majority of Nigerian political parties and candidates see the immense benefit of this policy. We, the parties and candidates, agree that these policies deal a deadly blow on illicit cash movements and money laundering. They cut off access to cash for the payment of ransom, make armed robbery less attractive, greatly reduce the chances of bribery and corruption. Of particular interest to the political parties and candidates is the implication of this policy on the credibility of the 2023 general election, which is just less than 20 days away. This policy eliminates the perennial problems of vote buying and compromise of elections.
The forum also raised alarm about plots by some individuals to instigate violence during the election.
Having stated our views clearly, we now bring to the notice of the nation, and particularly the security agencies, that we have intercepted very credible intelligence of our well-financed plot to instigate violence, disturbances, incite and provoke civil unrest aimed at undermining the president and causing a shift on the election. Painfully, we must state that this voice of dissent is coming from within the political party of Mr. President. Elements of the party that should have been the first to embrace these policies is the party championing the opposition against it. Quote, if the president doesn't want us to win our election, we won't allow him finish in peace, one of the governors told us. Gentlemen, this charge is being led by the governors of Kaduna State and Kano State, Malam Nasir Rufai and Abdullahi Ganduje. Also with them are the governors of Lagos State, Sanwo-Olu, Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State, Rotimi Akeredolu of Ondo State, etc. We hereby call on the security services to put these governors on watch list, as they are seriously mobilizing miscreants to begin as quickly as possible protest, which will now commence from Naira scarcity protests and graduate quickly to Buhari must go protest, which is the ultimate aim where the president refuses to budge.
The political parties and their candidate thereafter passed a resounding vote of confidence on the two CBN policies and commended President Buhari for his rare courage in taking these tough decisions for the good of the people. Florence Joshua reporting for Clearview News.
The presidential candidate of the Action Democratic Party (ADP), Mr. Yabagi Sani, has faulted the naira redesign by the Central Bank of Nigeria following the introduction of the redesigned 200 naira, 500 naira and 1000 naira notes by the Apex Bank. Nigerians have continued to experience nationwide scarcity of the naira. Sani said the monetary policy was the machinations of those against the country's democratic structure. According to him, the Apex Bank should have properly disbursed money to commercial banks across the country before coming up with the policy. Sani's remarks come barely 2 days after the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, urged Nigerians to bear with the federal government and the Central Bank of Nigeria over the redesigned naira notes. He stated that currency redesign is not peculiar to Nigeria, adding that the policy comes with some pains but has benefits in the long term. Barely 3 weeks after an attack was launched on the spokesperson for the coalition of united political parties, Ikenga Ugochinyere, in Akokwa, Imo State, gunmen have attacked him again at his residence. On Tuesday, Ugochinyere raised another alarm of attacks by armed men in an SOS message he sent to journalists on WhatsApp. He said, SOS, we are under attack again. My house is under attack again by armed men with explosives and heavy gunfire. On January 14 in Akokwa, Imo State, gunmen on motorcycles invaded Ugochinyele's house, burnt his house, cars, and killed his uncle and three others. Ugochinyere, the House of Representatives candidate of the People's Democratic Party for the Idiato North and Idiato South Federal Constituency, had then raised the alarm about the attack by the gunmen at his residence, calling for help. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Muhammad Bello, has revoked the land allocation of the area where a two-story building collapsed in Abuja. This was disclosed in a joint press release signed by the Director of Press, Anthony Ogunleye, and the spokesperson for the Federal Housing Authority, Kenneth Chigelu, after a meeting between officials of both parties on Tuesday. Last Thursday, an unfinished building collapsed due to infraction of building codes in Gwarimpa Estate, trapping 24 people, killing 3 while 21 persons were rescued. The minister, who regretted the loss of lives, commiserated with the families of the deceased and directed that a compensation plan be prepared for them. At least 15 Nigerian Muslim pilgrims en route to Senegal have been killed by gunmen who attacked buses transporting them through neighboring Burkina Faso. Nigeria's government said many Nigeria's government said Ministry of Affairs through the Nigerian embassy in Burkina Faso is engaging with the Burkinabe authorities and awaits the outcome of their investigation of the unfortunate incident and if necessary to ensure that all culprits are appropriately sanctioned. Presidential spokesman Garba Shehu's statement also carried a message of condolence from President Muhammadu Buhari and also said that the government would make every effort to return the survivors back home as well as the bodies of those killed. The incident comes just about 3 weeks after the mass abduction of at least 50 Burkinabe women in the northern province of Somme. They were said to have gone out to look for food to feed their families. Burkina Faso is currently battling a jihadist insurgency, which appears to have taken over about 40% of the country. The West African nation is ruled by Captain Ibrahim Traoré, who seized power in September in the country's second coup last year. And on the foreign scene, Turkey's President Recep Erdogan has declared 7 days of national mourning following devastating earthquakes that killed more than 5,000 people and toppled buildings across southeast Turkey and northern Syria. Authorities fear the death toll from Monday's pre-dawn magnitude 7.8 tremor, followed by a magnitude 7.6 earthquake, and several aftershocks will continue to climb as rescuers looked for survivors among tangles of metal and concrete spread across a region already suffering under Syria's 12-year civil war and the refugee crisis. Rescuers searched through the frigid night into this Tuesday morning, hoping to dig more survivors out of the rubble as those trapped cried out for help from beneath mountains of debris. The U.S. Geological Survey measured the initial earthquake at 7.8 with a depth of 18 kilometers. Hours later, a 7.6 magnitude tremor also struck. The second jolt caused a multi-story apartment building in the Turkish city of San Lufra to topple onto the street in a cloud of dust as bystanders screamed. According to video of the scene, more than 7,800 people have been rescued across 10 provinces. Now, up to 23 million people could be affected by the massive earthquake that has killed thousands in Turkey and Syria. The World Health Organization warned on Tuesday, promising long-term assistance. The WHO considers that the main unmet needs may be in Syria in the immediate and mid-term. Marchand told the WHO's Executive Committee in Geneva she spoke as rescuers in Turkey and Syria braved freezing cold, aftershocks, and collapsing buildings as they dug for survivors buried by a string of earthquakes that killed more than 5,000 people. Disaster agencies said several thousand buildings were flattened in cities across a vast Turkey-Syria border region, pouring misery on an area already plagued by war, insurgency, refugee crisis, and a recent cholera outbreak. Through the night, survivors used their bare hands to pick over the twisted ruins of multi-story apartment blocks, trying to save family, friends, and anyone else sleeping inside when the first massive 7.8 magnitude quake struck early Monday. The WHO chief vowed that the agency would work closely with all partners to support authorities in both countries in the critical hours and days ahead, and in the months and years to come, as both countries recover and rebuild.
It's now a race against time. Every minute, every hour that passes, the chances of finding survivors alive diminishes.
If you are just joining us, you're watching the news on Clearview News Desk. When we come back, we bring you stories on women and children. Stay with us.
The news continues now with stories from our area of specialization, women and children. After the main transmission of our news, we rebroadcast on our YouTube page, Clearview TV. Do you operate a women or children's NGO? Are you at the helm of affairs of a government establishment or a corporate organization involved in the affairs of women and children? Then you are our partners in progress. We have a mission to better the lot of our women and children. Join us to celebrate womanhood and work assiduously to better the lot of the Nigerian child. This is our mission.
Welcome back. In recent times, reports within and outside Nigeria continue to show cases of extreme violence. Individuals meet out on their partners after suffering a bad end to their romantic relationships. Although most of the reason stems from infidelity, lying, and other factors, one reason that is also gaining popularity is meeting out violence after making financial investments to make the relationship work. In this special report, Our correspondent spoke to some Nigerians on the wisdom or otherwise of making financial commitments in a relationship that is not binding by law.
In September 2022, social media went agog following the news of the gruesome murder of Kalthum, a 23-year-old woman in Kano State by her lover after she jilted him. The 47-year-old lover, Zheng Guangdong, a Chinese national who is currently standing trial before a Kano High Court for the murder of Kalthum, said he killed her for refusing to marry him and for exploiting him, having spent over 60 million naira on her. In that same month, social media went in another frenzy following the arrest of one Ibrahim Muhammadu in Adamawa State for allegedly setting a couple ablaze. It was gathered that Ibrahim hired a man to kill the newlyweds after the bride, whom he had spent about 150,000 naira on after she agreed to marry him, dumped him to marry another man. One story that residents of Okitipupa local government area of Ondo State will continue to remember was the gruesome murder of 8 members of the Shanumi family in Igbodio community in 2019 when Deji Adenuga, an enraged lover, set a house ablaze while the family slept because he was cheated and jilted by his ex-lover. Explaining the reason for his actions to the police, Deji said his ex-lover Titi and her elder sister Jumoke extorted him during the affair and eventually his lover dumped him. He said he was angered by the action of the 2 women and he decided to pay them back by killing them in the middle of the night. Stories of jilted lovers are as old as the marriage institutions itself. It is no longer news to hear stories of individuals inflicting various degrees of violence on their lovers or themselves after the end of a failed relationship. Although it is common to see extreme cases of domestic violence and physical abuse in relationships where cheating and infidelity is involved, lovers killing or physically abusing their exes after spending so much money on them has also become a common trend. This has sparked a debate on whether or not money should be a dominant factor in showing love and affection to a partner. In an interview, some Abuja residents expressed the opinion that bearing financial costs for a partner without a well-recognized union like marriage should be discouraged, and for others, it can be done, but with moderation.
If you are doing a business, everybody knows that you are looking for a profit. So if you invest your money on a woman and at the end of the day the woman go astray, I don't think it's the best idea. There are many ways to show love without spending money. Actually, money must involve, but there are many ways to attract a woman without showing well, without spending money. By chatting together, right? By chatting together, I think it's one of the best way. Then by visiting too, at least if you pay her a cost visit at home, is one of it.
It's not even advisable for a lady to finance a man that is not she's not married to. The best thing is for you to do, if the person really need help, you help the person and remove your mind out of it. You just do it for doing sake. But in terms of investing on a man that have not done anything, that is not the good thing to do. Just invest on yourself and your family or friends that you feel like. Then when you get together, then you can do other things.
If there's really love, I don't think the person will run away. Person can stand by your side, but you have to watch that person's character to be convinced. Character matters a lot when it comes to relationship.
Me, I will not advise it to her invest, no, because I've seen a lot of videos where the person that they invested in not end up marrying them, and then they'll feel bad about it, and they'll start doing some kind of things that they might regret. Some people might not take it if they don't get married to them, so especially some guys.
Some people define love, money as love. Do you understand? How buy expensive clothes to me, expensive cars to me. Do you understand? So this is what they assume is love. There are people that, yes, define love as, do you understand, whatever condition we are. Do you understand? So it depends on which type of love you are involved in. If you involve in a love whereby it's all about materialistic money, you can't, whenever there is a slight changes, there's going to be a domestic violence.
These respondents, however, added that frequent cases of violence will be reduced among would-be couples if love and understanding remain the watchword in their relationships.
I believe that we men always have to be cautious because women are devil. So if you marry a woman that always provoke you and you yourself, you are a kind of person that develop anger all the time, there must always be clash. But man must be always be patient. When you are patient, you overcome all the situation that you are facing.
You know, one thing with this domestic violence is how you started. Because man cannot just beat you overnight. Maybe you started it in a relationship. So you avoid it when you see it coming during your relationship. You know how to cut it off. A man that beats you when you are dating, the man will beat you when you after marriage. So it's for you to avoid it.
Communication and understanding can help. When you have good communication and there is understanding, and if there is love, I don't think you'll be able to have anything crisis, anything maybe one of them should have understanding. When the other person is angry, the other person needs to calm down.
We have to be patient of ourselves. When things change, we need to sit down. We know how to talk to ourselves. When you sit down with somebody, study that very person. You know when I will be triggered. You know when. Do you understand? So whenever you want to find out something, don't do you understand? Come to me do you understand, a manner that will trigger me to behave negatively.
There you now have a broader perspective about relationship. So next time your lover asks for urgent 2K, seek out other options to show love.
And that's the news. But before we go, a recap of the top stories.
The Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria has directed members to suspend all operations across the country. In a statement signed this Tuesday by Chairman of the association, Mohammed Kuluwu, the marketers were also ordered to suspend payment of ordering products from source until further notice. 18 registered political parties have threatened to withdraw their participation in the 2023 general elections if the federal government and CBN cancel or suspend its cash swap policy. This position was made known at a joint World Press Conference by the Forum of Chairmen of Nigerian Political Parties and Forum of Candidates for the 2023 general election. We also told you that Turkey's President Recep Erdogan has declared 7 days of national mourning following devastating earthquakes that killed more than 5,000 people and toppled buildings across southeast Turkey and northern Syria. Authorities fear the death toll from Monday's pre-dawn magnitude 7.8 temblor.
Remember to like us on Facebook, Clearview Television. Follow us on Twitter at Clearview Online. Follow us on Instagram at Clearview News. And also remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Clearview TV. I am Gloria Atta. Many thanks for watching.